Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first ever OLA Candidate Forum. I am Charity Pennington, OLA President at this time, and I am very, very happy to introduce our candidates for OLA Secretary and OLA President-elect. Before I begin, I just want to thank the 4 librarians who have agreed to serve as candidates for officer positions, because our association depends on our members and their servant leadership. So I'm very grateful when our members are willing to give their time and energy and talents to serve our association. So welcome all of you to this forum. At this time, I'm going to ask our president-elect candidates to turn off their cameras. Thank you, ladies. And we are going to give our 2 secretary candidates a moment to each introduce themselves. The majority of this forum is going to focus on our president-elect candidates. But if anyone has questions for our secretaries, you are welcome to put those questions in the Q&A section of this webinar. So first up, I'm going to have Bailey Hutchinson unmute. And Bailey, would you introduce yourself and tell us why you want to serve as Secretary of OLA?
Thank you, Charity. As Charity said, good morning. My name is Bailey Hutchinson. I'm the branch manager at the Altus Public Library. It's within the Southern Prairie Library System in Southwest Oklahoma. I've worked in libraries for about 5.5 years now. I previously worked in the mental health field, and in December, I graduated from OU with my MLIS and a certificate in data analytics. I have fallen in love with working in libraries. I have only worked in small and rural libraries, so I'm very passionate about advocating for small and rural libraries. I quickly got involved with the Association for Rural and Small Libraries when I first started working about 5 years ago, and currently serving as the president for the association. I've been involved with OLA for about 3 years, ever since I moved back to Oklahoma. I attended OLA Gold back in 2019 and have been an active member ever since then. I'm currently serving on the Membership Engagement and Marketing Communications Committee and active on PLD as well. I was able to serve as secretary for OLA Conference Planning Committee as a part of an internship that I did through OU with OLA. And I just want to continue to be involved in OLA. I strongly believe in the mission of the Oklahoma Library Association. It says to strengthen the quality of libraries and librarians. And I believe that that is what the board does and the members do. And so I am looking forward to the opportunity to continue to serve in whatever capacity that will be. And that concludes my introduction. Thank you.
Bailey, thank you very, very much. We appreciate you. Courtney Shelley, would you now take the time to introduce yourself to our members and why you want to serve as OLA Secretary?
Thank you, Charity. I appreciate you passing the buck to me. My name is Courtney Shelley. Good morning, everyone. I am running for Oklahoma Library Association Secretary position. I currently serve as the Children's Services Manager at the Shawnee Public Library, which is a part of the Pioneer Library System. We serve Cleveland, McLean, and Pottawatomie counties in Oklahoma. And I have worked for Pioneer for almost 3 years now. I have served with OLA for almost 5 years through my master's program through OU was my start of the tenure. I hope to be a lifelong tenure with the Oklahoma Library Association. So in that time, I've been active in the Public Libraries Division and through the Children and Teen Services Roundtable. I currently serve on the Advocacy Committee, and I am the liaison for them through the Marketing and Communications Committee, which I also serve on. I had the honor last year of being the secretary for the advocacy committee, so I do have experience in taking clear and concise notes, which I know is a big part of being the secretary for the Oklahoma Library Association. And I hope to further my engagement and be involved in this position for the next cycle, which would be for the next calendar year for OLA. And I, like Bailey said, I too am also very passionate about the mission and values of the Oklahoma Library Association. I think leadership is focused on supporting not just librarians, but also library staff and library workers. We want engagement at all levels, no matter your education or experience. And I think especially this year, Charity has had a focused interest on supporting students and those entering the library profession, which I love to see, and I would love to see that continue in this organization. But I have a very special place in my heart for libraries, and I hope to work in libraries for the rest of my natural life, hopefully, and serving in this role would help me to understand even more about what we're doing in Oklahoma and how we can support those that are in the library profession.
All right, Courtney, thank you very, very much. And Bailey and Courtney, again, thank you both for your willingness to just put your name out there and work for OLA. We appreciate you. So at this time, I'm going to ask our secretary candidates, and they've already done it, to turn off their video and to mute themselves. And now I'm going to ask Dana and Shay to come back and join us. There they are. Hello. Oh, there's Dana. All right, we have you both. Great. And so before I allow each of our president-elect candidates to introduce themselves, I just want to remind our attendees that the Q&A section of this webinar is open. And at any time, if you want to ask a question, please type it in that Q&A, and we will do our best to make sure that your question is asked at some point during this forum. So at this time, Dana, it looks like you have already unmuted yourself. I'm going to ask Dana Belcher to tell us a little bit about yourself, include your current library role and your involvement in OLA.
Thank you, Charity. Again, my name is Dana Belcher. I live in Ada, Oklahoma, and I work at East Central University. I came to Ada in 1983 to go to school, get an accounting degree. That didn't really work out well for me. I kind of fell into libraries in a strange way. I started working in the Linshad Library as a student, going to school at East Central. Worked there for a couple of years, graduated, got married, and needed a full-time position. I graduated with a math degree in teaching. Was not really what I wanted to do, so I went back to work full-time in the library for a couple of years. Long and short of that is I ended up going to library school at OU, got my degree in '96, came back to East Central as a librarian in '97. Been there ever since. I've been director since 2016. And I've been involved in OLA for a very long time. So right after I became a librarian, I got involved with OLA. I was encouraged by those who I was working with. That made a powerful impact on me. And I always really encourage those who work for me to be involved. Probably most of you know me as the vendor relations co-chair with Gloria Farmer. We've been doing vendor relations since that committee was created in 2007. It is something I love to do. Acquisitions has always been a part of my job description at East Central. And I love working with their vendors. I love the service that they provide to the libraries, as well as what we can do for them. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. I'm all about growing new librarians. I'm always looking at students that work for us in the library and how we can get them into the profession. I just recently hired 2 of them as full-time staff, much like myself. And through mentorship, encouraging them to go to library school and get involved. And that is what I will do for you as president, is to just really serve you, serve Oklahoma, and serve the profession by growing new leaders and just trying to be an advocate for libraries, not just in Oklahoma, but throughout the US and the world. Thank you.
Dana, thank you very much. At this time, Shay Beasley, would you introduce yourself to our attendees and tell us about your current library role and your involvement in OLA?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shay Beasley. I'm the Assistant Director of Metadata and Cataloging at the University of Central Oklahoma's Chambers Library. I will have been at UCO for 10 years this summer. I came to UCO for my first professional librarian position out of grad school, where I was hired as a cataloging librarian. Moving to Oklahoma was an interesting experience. However, I will note that while I was not raised here, I am technically from here, and that I would not be alive today had my parents not met at an economics class at OU. And so while I was raised elsewhere, I have family all in the area. And in my 10 years here, I have really enjoyed getting a better understanding of my family history, how that fits into who I am as a librarian. And I say all that because one thing that I have loved as part of getting to know Oklahoma has been getting to know the Oklahoma Library Association. I initially started attending TSRT workshops back in 2012 when I first became a librarian at UCO, which were very useful for me both as a cataloger and when 6 months into my first professional position, we had some circumstances happen and I was made manager of my department. So there was a little bit of trial by fire, but OLA was very helpful in that regard, and that I was able to find numerous professional development opportunities, both as a professional cataloger and as a cataloging manager. In 2015, I became involved in OLA through serving TSRT as secretary and being their liaison on the marketing committee. And I believe I had mentioned in my bio that I really enjoy the promotion of libraries. I have learned that Oklahoma libraries have a lot to offer. And so even though I was primarily a technical services background, I really wanted to join the marketing committee and see how I could apply my skills there. And so, as I mentioned, I served as liaison and then assumed chairship in 2016, 2017, which brought a lot of changes that you see today. Working with Kelsey Barker later in that interim where I was communications chair, we developed a proposal for a new OLA logo, the one that you see today. When I was marketing chair, it was me who told Melody Kellogg, our then OLA president, well, why can't we just start a OLA Sequoia rebranding committee? What's stopping us? And we did so much that year, and I would be remiss to say that it was because of the committee, not just myself. I am very a firm believer in not trying to take credit for other people's hard work, which is the kind of leader that I am. I want to cultivate the team that I am a part of and, empower people to get stuff done. I think a lot of what OLA's marketing and communications accomplished when I was in leadership roles there laid a lot of groundwork for the amazing marketing that's being done today by the Marketing and Communications Committee. I'm a firm believer of leaving things better than you found it. So to see, succeeding chairs and committees taking what we did and making it even better has been amazing to watch. And beyond marketing and communications, I served as chair as the university and college division, stepping in for a sudden vacancy. And so I have had time on the executive board offering a voice for academic libraries, as well as providing input on, matters relating to the board. I have been, I would say, because I was involved as an advisory role as marketing and communications, I have witnessed a lot of board goings-ons. One of my responsibilities as communications chair was serving on the Association Management Transition Committee. And so that was the committee that ultimately hired Amigos. And so OLA has gone through so much change in the past several years. And I've been there for behind the scenes for a lot of it. And, by running for OLA president, I'm really excited to help propel the association forward. I really think that OLA has a bright future ahead of it. I think that the work that our librarians have been doing, it has been phenomenal. We have so many challenges facing us, and I would be thrilled to support all of our OLA members and leadership, by serving as your president. And sorry, trailed off there for a second, but yes, it would be fantastic. And I will leave it at that.
All right, thank you, Shay, very much. Thank you, Dana, also. We have a couple of questions that have come up in our Q&A, and I'm going to start with one from Kristen Burkholder. She asks for both of you, what do you see as the biggest challenge for librarians in Oklahoma over the next few years? And what role would you want OLA to play in meeting that challenge? Dana, I'm actually going to start with you, and then Shay, I will start with you on the next question, but you're both going to answer this. So Dana, let me know if I need to repeat those questions at all, but Dana, I'm going to let you answer now.
Okay, thanks, Charity. I believe the biggest challenge that libraries throughout the world are facing right now is funding. I know at the academic level, it's getting pretty dire for us. For those of you who don't know, in the state of Oklahoma, most academics are funded less than 30% by the state. So we have to find other ways to be able to provide the services and the professional development needed by the librarians to give to their patrons. So I think funding with that, though, goes along is professional development. And that's where OLA really plays a huge role for us, taking advantage of being a member, having that 50% off of the workshops and the conferences, or not conferences, but the workshops and other things, and getting those member prices. Plus, there's a lot of free, sorry, I just lost my words, free opportunities through OLA, through the relationships and the groups that we formed, and just the support that we can give to each other. So I think that OLA has always played a huge role there. They will continue to play that role. As president, I would really want to even expand that more to provide even more virtual opportunities for workshops, conferences, and other professional development opportunities, so that we can continue to grow in our profession and to provide better services for our patrons, and to just be better servants of what our patrons and our communities need from us.
Thank you, Dana. Shay, Let me know if I need to repeat the questions.
No, I have them pulled up. I agree with Dana. Funding is definitely one of the biggest challenges all libraries face, but I won't rehash all of that. I think another area that OLA will be facing is the dramatically increased need for advocacy. We have been seeing a significant rise in book challenges, challenges on libraries' professional responsibilities as selectors and collection developmenters. And I believe that our advocacy is going to be especially important. And I believe that's, on multiple levels. One, we need to be able to ensure that our members and even non-members are equipped with the tools that we need. And so we've been doing that reasonably well, I think, with the Intellectual Freedom Toolkit revamp. And tied to that is then, marketing that toolkit is available. OLA offers a lot of tools that our members can use to be able to face these challenges. It's just making sure that people are aware of them. And that also ties into, professional development. A lot of these changes and increases and challenges are evolving and ever growing. And as technology expands, we as librarians need to be prepared to be on a path for continuous learning and be able to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our communities without sacrificing to some outliers' whims of what they think is appropriate for a library. And I'm going to glance at the question real quickly. So yes, OLA, to sum that up, I think the OLA can play in meeting these challenges is being a hub for professional development, equipping people with advocacy tools, and ensuring that we are protecting, children's right to, read without, sacrificing important areas of the collection and our responsibilities as professional librarians.
All right, thank you, Shay. Thank you, Dana. And Shay, if you need to I saw you grab a drink. If you need to get another drink, because you're next up on this next question.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Okay, we have a question from an attendee who asks, how would you re-engage former OLA members who left, citing they saw little return on investment from their OLA dues? So Shay, I'm going to let you address that one first.
Yes. And this is something I have thought a lot about in recent times and how I would want to address that. And we've started doing that somewhat is reevaluating our pricing structures. When people say, I didn't get a lot of investment on my OLA dues, I want to find out why. And I think that people make a fair point in, well, paying $100 a year for me, when I don't get a lot of quote unquote return on investment, that's reasonable, especially since we talked about how funding is one of the biggest challenges that libraries are facing. For me personally, I pay my own OLA dues out of pocket. I know that a lot of people, their employers do not cover dues. And how I would want to re-engage those people is make a concerted effort, and that we are, evaluating our pricing structures appropriately, which is discussed in the strategic plan. We have talked about in the past finance committee about restructuring how workshops, both in person and virtual, are priced. And I think we've made some positive steps in that direction, but I think we will need to keep an eye on that as whatever changes or how we evaluate our pricing structures, we don't want to do it to the demise of OLA. We hear a lot that, well, OLA has a budget too, but so do our libraries. And so we need to find that happy medium between making OLA an affordable place for our members and non-members, and make sure that they understand the services that we're offering, because if we're showing that we're evaluating our pricing structures and evolving as a modern library association, then it turns into, then we need to promote, okay, what are we offering? We offer things like I had mentioned earlier, the Intellectual Freedom Toolkit. We offer discounted prices on workshops. And I would also argue it wouldn't hurt to get creative. Like, are there projects or opportunities that people would want to participate in if they were an OLA member? In my introduction, I neglected to mention that I currently chair the History of Oklahoma Libraries Ad Hoc Committee. This was a committee that was born out of last year's UCD workshop, where we did a little open educational resource exercise where the instructor used History of Oklahoma Libraries as an area to play with. And we left that thinking, well, wouldn't that be a really fun project to do? And so we got approval to form this little ad hoc committee. And I recently learned that as word got out when we did our call for members, that some people specifically joined OLA so they could participate in this committee. And while OLA needs its current committees to exist in terms of, we need the governance committee, we need the advocacy committee, I think re-engaging people could also look like, what are some projects out there that we haven't been doing? How can we as OLA support these endeavors and provide forum for librarians to come together? And so I think between making sure that we are evaluating price, making sure that it's fair, while at the same time not at the detriment of OLA, and maybe finding new creative opportunities for people to participate, we may be able to re-engage those people who have left saying, sorry, too much money for me.
Shay, thank you very much. Dana, you have the same question.
So to re-engage people, I need to know what their issues are. So I want to talk to them, but I'm one person. So I would like to set up maybe some one-on-ones with the leadership within OLA, that people who want to re-engage we contact them. They can contact us to do some one-on-one discussion to see what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their concerns. OLA has dramatically changed in the last 5 to 6 years. It's great. It's wonderful. There's so many things that we're offering, but like most people, most organizations, sometimes we're our worst enemy. We need to get that word out there. Let's create some videos. Let's partnership with some university graphic design or videographers to create some videos that are showing what we're doing, how we're getting engaged with the communities and with the state and other entities. I'd also like to also impress upon all librarians that OLA, yes, is here to serve you, but we have a service, we have an obligation to the profession to be members of this organization. Okay, it can, for some people, I think, seem expensive, but it really isn't. And I have been a member since 1997. And one thing I do, and I will encourage this, is a former president did this, and I've always done it since she instigated it, but I pay it forward. When I hire somebody new, I pay their first year's dues membership so that they can see what the opportunities are. And then I make sure I encourage them to be involved and to show them opportunities. And I just think that we need to do, and again, this is also in the OLA strategic plan, but a membership drive. We need to get our word out there, right? Don't just be sending out emails to those who are signed up to get those emails because of their membership, but we've got to somehow get our word out to everybody. And we also, I agree with Shay, maybe restructuring the price schedule. You know, I'm not super familiar with it. I pay my dues and I just really don't look at that again. But, you know, what is it that we are charging at different levels? We need to look at that again. We need to make it affordable. But again, we also cannot underwrite the budget that OLA needs to function. People need to realize what is going on. And there have been so many changes that we just need to keep reminding people who we are and what we're doing and how they can help with that and how we are spending that money. So gosh, there's just so many different things we can do, but I really think I would just want to sit down with some of those people, especially the ones that really feel passionate about why they left, and to figure out what it is we can do to bring them back. And that is each and every one of our jobs, is to just be advocating for the membership itself. And you know, we don't always get to see a return on our investments. Sometimes we just have to invest and have the faith that the membership is doing its job, and that we're growing and that we are providing those opportunities. Sometimes we just have to take that leap of faith. So that's just my 2 cents. And I hope that I can help the organization with that, regardless of whether I become president or not.
All right, thank you, Dana. Thank you, Shay. We have another question in our Q&A, and this one comes from Jackie Crop. If elected, what is the legacy you hope to leave with your presidency? Dana, I'm going to start with you. Do you need a drink?
No, I'm good.
All right,
I'm
go
good.
for it, Dana.
I hinted at this in my bio that was sent out on Monday, but really leadership and high-performing teams. This is something that we started doing in our library a couple of years ago. It actually came from a pre-conference at OLA several years ago, and so I sent all the librarians to that, and we all came back and got together and just really learning to work as a high-performing team. And I think OLA has wonderful leadership, wonderful people. There's been so many changes. I think that we can work towards being a much more higher performing team together, collaboratively, talking, communicating with the membership. Really, that is just my legacy, is just leadership and growing that leadership. And you can be a leadership from day one at your first job, or be a leader that if you don't think you're a leader and you've been there for 30 years, we can help you become a leader. There's all different forms of that. So that would be my legacy.
All right, thank you, Dana. Shay, same question.
My legacy, I envision, would be one where whatever I've done, I hope I've left OLA in a much better place than it was before. And 2, I would want my legacy to be focusing on increasing the quality and affordability of professional development for Oklahoma librarians. High quality professional development opportunities has been something that I have become very interested in over the years. I have been programming chair for the Ex Libris users of North America's annual meetings and online virtual series. And that's been a tremendously rewarding and eye-opening experience for the needs of professional librarians, even just beyond Oklahoma librarians. And one of the challenges that we faced in this process is when we had to pivot to online learning in lieu of a conference due to the pandemic, is we created a 10 3-hour webinar series throughout 2020 and 2021. And we are slated to do this again for 2022. And that's been a highly rewarding experience because as programming chair, my responsibility was making sure that our call for proposals was written in such a way that we could identify, quality over, people who are just sending in, and also making sure that we can, help people, advise on, hey, if you're not sure about sending something in to present on, let us know. We can help you workshop that idea. And in Oklahoma, because we are a niche profession, and so when you take the niche profession and then throw it on a much smaller community of OLA and Oklahoma library workers, you see a lot of the same people present, and which is great. Some people are talented presenters and do great work, but I would want my legacy to be who are we not hearing from in terms of offering professional development? Who would benefit from their expertise? A good example would be for the Ex Libris users. We did a session on DEI in, library catalogs, discovery layers, and whatnot. And I ended up going pretty high level with this. I invited our colleagues from the University of Oklahoma to talk about their work when they had the Library of Congress subject heading, Tulsa Race Riot changed to Tulsa Race Massacre. And so even though this is a group of pretty technical folks, having people come in and talk about some of the whys and the more of those higher concepts that inform, the technical work, because, when subject headings change like that, you have to do the work of, okay, how are we going to update this in the catalog? How will we ensure that this change is getting communicated to the vendor, et cetera? But to have that, here's why we changed it. We had so much positive feedback from that session. I was very pleased that, folks were like, oh, we learned something from Oklahoma on a much wider scale. I'm always happy when I can make Oklahoma look good in that regard. And so, yeah, as my legacy, I would want to be remembered as the OLA president who really helped us take professional development, both in terms of affordability, like I alluded to earlier, and in terms of quality and ensuring that Oklahoma library workers are getting what they need from their professional development opportunities.
All right, thank you, Shay, and thank you, Dana. And thank you, Jackie, for asking that question. Next up, we have another attendee who has asked, how will you foster networking and mentoring opportunities for new librarians? So Shay, grab a drink if you need it, but you are up next.
All righty. I think we have some good existing structures for this. I would argue that this would be a great project for our membership committee. I know for a time there was kind of a new professional group in OLA, and it was folded into the membership committee rather than its own separate thing. And if I can be a little frank, one of the concerns I had with having its own separate group was it caused a lot of unnecessary exclusive behaviors. And while that's bound to happen when people are friends and whatnot, I think folding the goal of that group into the membership committee was a great idea, because if the membership committee, is incorporating both, okay, how do we reach, people who need to be re-engaged? How do we reach the new librarians? And here are the specific things we can do to proactively reach out. Maybe it could be even when people sign up for membership, there could be a question. How, are you new to the profession? So to help, the membership committee identify those people and reach out to them specifically. And I feel like, one of the challenges of the pandemic has been, most of our in-person connecting opportunities have been extremely limited. And the membership committee has been doing a good job through, some of the virtual events they've been having. I think another way to identify and new librarians is when they join, our DROCs, our divisions, our roundtables, that, we're coaching our DROC leaders to be like, identify who's new, figure out who's new, make sure that, they understand you're a resource that, if they have questions that, if I'm new to working in academic libraries, that I would want to know, yeah, I can go talk to Susan Urban, current UCD chair of, and be able to kind of understand some of the process of working in academic libraries or specifically in Oklahoma. And I think the fact at that point, if they're already an OLA member, is a step in the right direction. And, because there are also new librarians who may not be OLA members. And so that just goes back to the overall goal of, we need good promotion of OLA and what it has to offer. And then, identify those target audiences of, oh, you're new to the profession, here's how OLA can help you. I mean, I was very fortunate in that I attended a workshop, a TSRT workshop very early on in my career here as a librarian. And so I was able to quickly see like, oh, these are the people I need to be talking to and learning from. And that has, I feel like resulted in a lot of good things as, attending workshops and events turned into, participating and helping OLA propel forward.
Thank you, Shay. Dana, same question. How will you foster networking and mentoring opportunities for new librarians?
Well, Shay had a wonderful idea. That's great. I would just like to build on that just we need to find a way to provide more opportunities. We have lots of, so we have our DROCs. So, but I would like to also find a way to find other interests that our librarians are wanting to gather together with. I went to a conference one time and they had this thing called Birds of a Feather. So it was a national conference and some people brought they were musicians, so they brought their instruments and they all kind of gathered together and made music. And there was a group for knitters and there was a group for people who did crossword puzzles. I mean, it was just really kind of interesting to see that there were these other networking opportunities based on different interests. And so I would like to incorporate that somehow into your membership on the website somehow. I don't know how we can do that. We need to provide an opportunity for people to ask questions anonymously if needed, but to know that even if it's not anonymous, that it's semi-private in case they just want to have a conversation with someone, but they don't know who to reach out to. So providing that opportunity through the website or through other means, incorporating other tools. I know with the pandemic, we have heavily used Teams within our own organization, within the library and throughout the campus. Maybe we can look at some opportunities to do things electronically that way. Let me look at the question one more time. It is, so networking and mentoring. I think mentoring, so we used to have the ambassador program, and I've always been a part of that, and I never really had anybody reach out to me too much, but we need to find a way to do more mentoring. We have it pretty formalized in my library, but I welcome ideas on how to figure out how to do that for the membership. I think that would be a really good opportunity. We are truly focused a lot of our energy on the conference itself. It would take us all year to put the conference on. And as soon as it's done, we're jumping right back in to start working on the next year. But we need to find other opportunities that are just not just conference related. So I would just really reach out to the membership, part of that networking, part of that talking to people, why did you leave? How can we get you back? Maybe we can provide more networking and mentoring opportunities for them. And I would just really welcome any ideas that the membership, even non-members, would have for us to figure that out together. We'd have to do it as a team. There's no way we can do that as just one person. But I think that starting with the membership committee, but really drawing in all those different draws to help figure out how we can do that, I think would be great. I would love to see opportunities cross draws, you know, UCD and PLD. There's so many different opportunities we could do across the different types of librarians that we have. So I hope I answered that question.
All right, thank you, Dana, and thank you, Shay. We have another question in the Q&A. And first, I just want to thank our attendees for being so attentive and for posing these great questions. So Dana, you will be up first on this one. Both of you are experienced OLA members. What are your thoughts on how OLA's experience with Amigos has been?
Oh, I think our experience with Amigos has been fabulous. I think my library has been an Amigos member for many, well, ever since since 97, even before then. So I think Amigos has truly restructured itself and is doing a fantastic job for the membership. They're there truly to support us. They've helped us learn, helped us grow, all doing it behind the scenes. And I think that's really, really important. What are all these experiences? Because I think we have learned so much from them. You know, we've had so many changes over the last 5-6 years, and we wanted to do things, and they were able to come in with their expertise. And just really, they never said, oh, let's do it this way. This is the way we've always done it. They're like, hey, what do you think about this? Maybe we can help you formulate this better, manage this better. From what I've seen, and I've not seen all the things that Amigos is doing, but I personally have learned so much working in the trade show. Amigos brought a lot of good experience with them on that and working with the vendors. And I can't say enough about what Amigos has done and my personal thinking, not only for myself, but for the membership. I hope that just continues to grow, and just they've just been truly 100% supportive of what we wanted to change, and then helping us to get that and get where we're at.
All right, thank you, Dana. Shay, same question. What are your thoughts on how OLA's experience with Amigos has been?
I think Amigos has been an invaluable partner as we transitioned away from having an executive director. There are many things that they do to keep OLA operating smoothly. I have always had positive interactions with them. And I think for purposes of continuity, it is very nice that we're having, you know, someone to help with all of these administrative tasks and whatnot. And most importantly, what my biggest takeaway from having an association management company is that it is given a lot of, I'm trying to think of the quite right word for this. I'm not don't want to necessarily say power, but I feel like that as a board, you know, having kind of been involved from the end of having an association director and then the association's management committee, I feel, from what I have observed, I feel like OLA has been making a lot more decisions as a board, and the board has been much more involved in some regard. And while at the same time, it is difficult to always lose that institutional knowledge from having an executive director, as I'm sure there are many times where we're like, man, that would be really good to know. But, we don't have it on record or whatnot. I personally, in my work in various roles as, chair, member, and particularly as chair, is making sure to share whatever documentation I can with Amigos, since they offer to hold on to stuff for us, and making sure that we have that continuity. So overall, I think it has been a good experience for OLA. And I would argue, however, that, with the annual, or at least my understanding, it's currently annual contract with Amigos, is making sure that we're evaluating that contract and making sure that we are putting our members' dollars to the best that we possibly can. Amigos has been a huge, huge help. But at the same time, there are many other library organizations out there that don't necessarily have an association management association management company. And I would be interested in doing some, organizational comparisons against those. Like, what are we offering that sets us apart from these other organizations that justifies the need for an association management company? And like I'm saying, I think our experience with Amigos has been great. I'm not trying to get rid of Amigos, but I think when we talk about things like, I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of my membership dollars. We don't want to decimate the OLA budget, that we're assessing every line item in the budget, including our relationship with Amigos, appropriately.
All right, thank you, Shay, and thank you, Dana. We do not have any new questions in the Q&A, and we have almost reached the end of our time. So I want to give each of you an opportunity to simply tell our members anything about yourself, OLA, anything about your plans for OLA that you have not had a chance to discuss yet. So Shay, you are up first. Anything that you want to share that you've not had a chance to do so yet?
Sure. One of my big hallmarks has been professional development and affordability. And one idea that I have been pondering for OLA is, so much of our scholarships are for library school students, which is great. We want to support our SLIS students and making sure that they are receiving an affordable education. But I serve on MPLA's professional development committee. And one reason why I up my MPLA membership every year is that they have professional development grants for working librarians, not just students. And I think their structure is pretty decent, and that, you have to apply, explain here's what this is for, and then, do a follow-up of what I learned in order to have those funds released to you. And when we talk about supporting our members, this is an area of possibly readjust. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm going to come in and tell the endowment what to do with their money. But at the same time, I want us to evaluate, yes, we are helping new librarians to be through, these scholarships to be used on schoolwork. But I've really, the MPLA professional scholarship, which I have, applied for and have been able to use to attend conferences, that's been a tremendous help. And I think that we don't want to forget the mid-career people too, who, need professional development. Professional development, is an ongoing process throughout our careers, and not just, okay, I'm getting my MLS to, move on up in the library world and need some help, which, like I said, is a very commendable thing. Working in higher education, I know it's not cheap. But at the same time, that's one thing I've been thinking about, is how can we better support our mid-career people and making sure that everyone has an equal chance at being supported by OLA. And I will end this all with that, I really appreciate y'all taking the opportunity to listen to us today. And as I was telling folks beforehand, to me, this is the perfect candidate slate to be on, because either way, I think OLA is going to be in wonderful hands. And Dana, I would not be sorry to lose to you. I think you would do a wonderful job as OLA president. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Shay. Dana, I'm going to allow you time also. Anything else that you want to talk to the membership about yourself or OLA?
There really isn't anything else I want to add. I want to thank Shay for a very kind mention. And for me, it's like, hey, vote for Shay. She's awesome. I think that that is true of all of our membership. For Courtney and Bailey running for secretary, for everybody who volunteers to be a part of OLA. So most of you know me. I've been around a long time. I've been in OLA for close to 30 years now. And I have 6 years to retirement. I don't know. I just think OLA is great. I think it has a lot of opportunities for everybody. And that's what I will hope and strive to work towards, is to continue that those opportunities be there, be affordable, and be available. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dana and Shay, and also thank you to Bailey and Courtney for giving us your time today. I appreciate all of you for, again, being willing to serve your association. I want to announce that you will receive your ballots tomorrow morning, and they will stay open until February 10th. So you have some time to do your voting. I want to thank Pioneer Library System and Alyssa Green and Ashley Welke for helping us set up the webinar feature for our forum today. And I also want to mention that on February 23rd, we will have our annual membership meeting of OLA. Thanks again to Pioneer Library System for allowing us to use their webinar. So thank you all to the candidates. This meeting is being recorded, and we will have this to our marketing committee very soon so that they can share a link online to the recording, so that members who could not attend will be able to watch it at their leisure. So again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, those of you who were able to attend today, and have a lovely day.